How's it going, guys? In today's video, we're going to be turning this dark, dingy bedroom into this. So stay tuned and I'll walk you through the process. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So first off, I want to thank Insignia for giving me this opportunity to review these lights. This is a 12-pack of their 6-inch LED recessed lights. We're going to do a quick unboxing and overall first impression, and I'll let you know what I think of them. Okay, so let's have a look here first at some of the features of this light fixture. Puts out 1050 lumens at 12 watts. It's rated for 50,000 plus hours of operation. Color rendering index of 80 plus, which is pretty good. Operates on 120 volts, has a start temperature and operating temperature between 14 degrees and 104 degrees Fahrenheit. It's IC insulation contact rated, so this would be great for an installation where you have an attic up above with insulation. Damp location rated, so this could be used outdoors, possibly in a soffit install. And it's also dimmable, so a lot of great features already with this product. There will be links in the description below where you can purchase this product and everything else that I use in today's video. And I did want to mention that there's a bunch of different purchasing options for this fixture, from a 4-pack, a 12-pack like we have here, and a 16-pack, so you can choose which is most cost effective for your install. You can see in here that these lights are packaged very well with the styrofoam around the outer edge. The actual light fixtures come with a protective plastic coating on them, which is nice so they don't get damaged in shipment. First overall impression, build quality. You could tell that these are built very well. They have some weight to them. They don't feel cheap, which is nice. Another thing I look at with this particular style of lights is the clips. I want to make sure that these are going to last. This is a big part of the install. You want this to look good when it's fully finished and installed. And these clips is what holds this up to the ceiling tight. So you don't want any gaps around the outer edge. There is a piece of foam mounted on here. Now that is nice. That'll prevent airflow around the fixture to, let's say, an attic up above when you're installing these. Again, insulation contact rated, so we can put this right up in the ceiling and have insulation on the underside of it. So it looks like it has a matte finish on the trim ring, which looks good. I don't see any defects on that. And the lens itself where the light is emitted is frosted. So that should give it a nice look when it's on. So if you look here, we have our wiring harness, and that attaches to our junction box, which you see here. So basically, you do your wiring connections in this. Again, we're going to be going over all this later on in the video. These two pieces fit together like that. It's got this nut here to keep them together. I don't see any issues with this either. It seems like this harness is of good quality. It'll stay together nice once the install is complete. We'll have a look at the junction box here. So, like many others of this style, has a hinged opening here where you do your wiring connections. Inside we have our hot, our neutral, and our ground. Comes with these pre-installed wiring connectors on here. Now I happen to like these. I think it definitely speeds up the installation. Some guys hate these. If you don't want to use these, you can always clip them off and then use wire nuts for doing your connections. Alright, and like I already stated, hinge cover that locks in place. In terms of the wiring connections into the box, they give you 3 knockout locations here on each side, so you got plenty of space here for your incoming and outgoing wires if this happens to be midstream in your install. Metal looks of good quality. It doesn't look like it's going to bend or twist as you're installing those connectors. So overall, I'm happy with what I see here. One of the distinguishing factors that sets this light fixture apart from others is the fact that you can select the lighting color with this switch over here. So we can go anywhere from 2700K all the way up to 5000K. So we have 5 different color selections that we can make. 2700K, 3000K, 3500K, 4000K, and 5000K. I really like this feature. You don't have to make that choice beforehand when selecting your light fixture on what type of look you're trying to achieve. So you can see here you can purchase these in any particular color temperature you want, but again, this one is the color selectable model. Really nice feature. You think about if you change paint in one of your rooms, the furniture, the decor, you might need to change the color temperature of the lights to achieve the look that you're going for. Alright, so why choose this style of light over, let's say, one of your traditional style lights that we're all used to seeing like this? Well, I think that right off the bat, that decision is pretty obvious. So, you think back not too long ago when this was really the only option for recessed lights that you had. Now you can get these in a 4-inch or a 6-inch model. So some things you had to consider when putting these in is space. Look at the height of this thing. You had to make sure you had enough room in your ceiling to fit this in the framing. And that was always a challenge. Another thing, placement. you always had to make sure one of these was in between two joist bays in your ceiling. You know, to get it up in the ceiling and get it installed properly. And what that meant is you had to alter the design sometimes. So if you, let's say, decided on a spot you wanted to put this, you start cutting your hole, there's a joist there, well, that meant you had to jog it over. And again, that might not be desirable if you had a specific spot where you wanted to install these. These fixtures here, you don't have to worry about ceiling joists at all because of the thickness of the actual fixture. So you can cut your holes, and if there happens to be a joist that runs right down the middle of this, it's really not a problem because this thickness of this is about the same or less than a piece of drywall. All right, so in essence, when you're putting this up, it'll sit below the joist, and you can put them wherever you want. All right, so you'll see this a little bit better when we get to the install. So I think that covers the major points of these lights. Let's get started installing them. First step, we have to determine the locations of our lights. There is no exact science to the actual placement of the lights. It's more or less just where you want them. And if you remember what I said earlier, previously you had to design them around joist locations. With these lights, we don't have to worry about that. What I ended up doing here was coming 36 inches off one wall and 32 inches off the other. And what that allowed was a good placement that I was happy with. It also centered the light on the door opening into the room. And overall, just provided a nice visual appearance to the lighting. Here's our template. They don't give you a reference hole in the middle of this to line up your crosshairs, so just take some measurements on this thing, punch a little hole through it, and get that exactly where you need it with your marks that you made in the previous step, which is right around there. And now I'm just going to go around the whole outside of this thing and trace it. Go around the entire room, do the same process for all your light locations. Alright guys, I'm going to be using a drywall keyhole saw to cut this opening out. You can get a hole saw kit that has some of these fancy attachments on it to catch all the dust. I don't have one, so I'm going to do it this way. And psst, here's a little warning to you, this makes a big mess. So do it when your wife or your significant other is not around. Try to clean up the best you can. I know I'm still going to get caught, but whatever. Let's get this done. Put your saw on your mark, poke the blade up there, and start cutting. Alright guys, so here's our hole. You can see our insulation up in here, which is okay. So I'm going to do the other three now and get this part of the job done. Alright, got a joist on this one, no biggie. Let's go the other way. Cut this right on the surface. Basically just looking to score it so we can get up here and pop it loose. Like that. And you won't tear your paper on the outside of this by doing that. See, you end up with a nice hole. Look at this, we got a drywall screw right here too. Just pop that out. Light fixture will fit right underneath that. Alright, so it's time to run some wire. If you're not familiar with how to do this, real easy process. Basically all you have to do is grab some source power. In our case it's going to be this light switch location down here. You're going to run a wire up to your first light location, which is this one here. Then off that light, you're going to run down to your next location, down there. From that light over to this light, and then finally from that light to the final light on the run, which is going to be this one. Now there is no specific way you have to run the wire when doing this. In general, you do it in a way that you use the least amount of wire as possible. So in terms of grabbing the power from down here, this existing switch right now controls the ceiling fan. Now I do want two separate switches. I want one for the fan and one for the new lights. And to accomplish that, what we have to do is remove this single box and install a double. Alright, so I'm going to film a separate video on how to do this because it's not really related all that much to the recessed lighting install. So if you want to check this video out, I'm going to put a link in the description below and I'll show you all the steps involved in doing that. Now in terms of running the wire from the switch up to the lights, if you come out here, I do have attic access above this area. So you can see up in here, it's going to be really easy to run these wires. Now I know this isn't always the case. So if you do need to run wires in concealed areas, let's say on a first floor in a 2-story home, I do have other videos on my channel that you can check out, and it'll go over all the steps involved in doing that job. Alright, so final step with the wire runs. We're going to take a wire from this location, find the hole in the top plate of the wall, and run it down to this spot here. Alright, so here's our wire we just pushed up here. We're going to push it underneath this piece of wood here. Alright, and somewhere right around here, I believe, yep, is our hole down to the switch box. Alright, so here's our new wire. That hole is plenty big to fit another piece of Romex in it. So really all it's a matter of doing is just feeding it in there now and getting it down far enough so you can reach it in the wall when we pull that old box out. Alright, so at this point we're going to go down there, we're going to pull that old box out. Again, I'm going to do that in a separate video. If you're interested in that, a link will be in the description below. Alright guys, we got our additional switch installed over there. A little bit of drywall work to do, some patching up above there, but that's not a big deal. We'll get to that later. Let's turn our attention now to installing the lights. There is another video on my channel, like I stated earlier, that goes over the installation of recessed lights. You can check that out if you want some pointers or tricks in terms of doing the wiring. Essentially all we're doing, we popped one of the knockouts out on the box. Again, I told you earlier there's 3 of them, so you can pick which one you want. Going to install a Romex connector. Right now on this first light, we obviously have 2 lines. One's our feed in from the switch, and one's our feed out to the next light downstream. Bring both those wires into the box. Okay, and tighten down your screws on the wire connector. Strip off the sheathing on the Romex, pull it back to the back side of the Romex connector. We will strip our insulation off our conductors. Again, we're going to be using the clips in here to make the connections. I do like those. I've never had a problem using them in the past. Don't like that style of wiring, just cut them off. Use wire nuts. Either or is okay. So we got our black connector. That's going to be for our hot wires. So just take them, press them in, give them a little tug, make sure they're not going to pop out. Our neutral. And we're just going to push our white wires into that one. And now our grounds, they go into the green connector. Pretty easy basic stuff, right? So 2 wires coming in, 3rd wire is going to the wire harness for the light. And that's really it. Fold all these up inside the box, close the cover, and you're done. With the exception of just connecting the actual LED light to the wire harness here. But I'm going to go around the entire room and get the rest of these all connected. Same procedure for all of them. Obviously the last one just has 1 wire coming in. Alright, so all the boxes are wired up and ready to go. What we got to do now is connect the light to the wiring harness. Alright, so these plugs have a little notch on the inside of them to line them up, so there's no way you can plug these in wrong. Line them up, push them together, and then you got this nut that you lock in place or screw in place and holds everything together nicely. Now you might be asking why I'm not popping up in the ceiling at this point. The reason we're not doing that right now is because, if you remember from earlier in the video, our switch is on the side here to adjust our color temperature. So I want to get these all plugged in, get the power turned back on, and we can dial in the color temperature that we want. Not quite sure yet what we're going to be using. I'm thinking 3500. That's what I have on some of the other light fixtures in my house. But as I'm sure you're aware, different manufacturers have different standards for the Kelvin temperature of the actual light. So for some that 3500 looks good, others that might be too cool or it might be too warm. Alright guys, power is back on. Here's the moment of truth. Alright, they work. Not that there was any question that they were or were not going to work, but hey, you never know what could go wrong, right? So anyway, I'm liking the light output of these right off the bat. Pretty bright, which is good. I'm not sure what color temperature they're all set for right now from the factory, so let's have a look. All right, so these are right now set for 5,000 K. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right down the line here and show you what all the different color temperatures look like. So again, that's 5,000. That's 4,000. That's 3,500. That's 3,000. And that's 2,700. I think for now I'm going to set them for 3,500 to match some of the other fixtures in this house. Alright, so let me show you that switch up close here again. Well, you can see that, but it's right here. And you have all your different color adjustments. So again, 5,000, 4,000, 3,500, 3,000, 2,700. Alright, so let's get these bad boys up in the ceiling here. I'm just going to tuck the junction box up and out of the way. I'm going to push these clips up now and get the light pushed into place. Alright, so there's one, there's two. Now again, I'm working around that joist, but there you have it, just like that, and the light's installed. Look at that, look how low profile that thing is, that's awesome. Looks really, really good. Nice light output too. Okay, so again, I'm going to set this for 3,500. That's what I want. Pop the box up into the ceiling, up and out of the way. And we will tuck our insulation back into place. Now remember, these are rated for insulation contact, so you can have insulation right up against the bottom of this and not have a problem. Alright, and our clips. Go ahead and pop those up. Make sure that this wire is out of the way when I'm doing this. And there you go, guys. Look how easy that is. Look at that. Joist right up on the underside of that thing. You would never know. Right, now this one is much easier. Not that those were hard, but we don't have a joist on this one, so this is going to go right up there. It doesn't matter how we push this up into the hole, it'll go up in there, no problem. Again, trying to keep our insulation looking halfway decent up here, just like that. And again, our clips. Get centered in the hole, pop it up into place. That one's done too. Okay, that is that. Shut this light off. And we'll get a look at the lights. Alright guys, so here's another look. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. I think it looks absolutely awesome. It really does give the room a nice look having these lights in here now. So my next project is going to be removing this ceiling fan and installing a new one without a lighting kit on it, because I absolutely hate the way those things look, and also the light output out of them. It's terrible. So we're going to be getting rid of that thing. One other thing I did want to demonstrate on this video, I did put a dimmer switch in over there. Let's see how well these things dim. Alright, so this setting right now is full power, 100%. That's about 50%. That's about 25%. And that's your lowest setting right there. Alright, so overall pretty good. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, this is a Lutron dimmer. I'll put a link in the description below. I've always found these to work 100 times better than the Leviton dimmers, so definitely check them out. Alright guys, well that pretty much wraps up this video. I again want to thank It Senior for sending me these lights to review and demo. They're absolutely awesome. I highly recommend them. Links will be in the description below. Check them out. Got any questions, post them down below. Like the video, and I'll see you on the next one.